Since its release date, the Bambu Lab A1 had quickly become the most hyped and arguably the best valued 3D printer for both beginners and hobbyists. It featured a high quality build, easy to use hardware and software, and produced excellent prints right out of the box. Months later though, this printer would fall from grace as users began reporting issues stemming from the Heatbed cable. So the A1 had become just an expensive paperweight, and owners had to decide between returning their printers or waiting months for replacement parts. So fast forward to now, where Bambu Lab has since fixed the issue, and where does the A1 now rank? Is it back on top as king of the hill when it comes to FDM 3D printers, or should customers avoid this model at all costs? Let's take a look at that today. I'll tell you what I think, and ultimately, you can decide where you think the A1 now stands. Before diving into today's video, I'd like to quickly highlight our sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay.com offers a wide range of prototyping and fabrication services for your needs. That's CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication, injection molding, PCB design and assembly, and 3D printing. This month, PCBWay is also celebrating their 10th anniversary, so there's lots of exclusive offers to take advantage of. So be sure to check out PCBWay.com before the end of July if you're interested. New shoppers will receive a free $5 credit when you register using the link provided in the video description as well. Hey, this is Rohan here. Thanks for tuning in to Creatorrific. Today we'll cover the previous Heatbed issue involving the Bambu Lab A1, skim through the repair process, and get a sense of the difficulty and how much time it takes, then perform some prints to make sure that the quality is up to par. Just a quick note, this video is mainly relevant for people who had ordered the A1 printer prior to April 2024, plus anyone else needing to replace the Heatbed for whatever reason, be it short-circuiting or physical damage. Everyone else who has ordered the A1 from April 2024 onward would have received this printer with the repairs already done, so no need for you guys to worry. Here's a quick recap of the series of events leading up to this before we dive in. So in late December 2023, the Bambu Lab A1 3D printer released and quickly became very popular. Then in late January 2024, Bambu Lab released a blog article warning that this machine could be hazardous if certain precautions weren't taken to protect the Heatbed cable. They distributed a 3D print cable protector file and assured owners that everything was fine so long as damage didn't already take place. So it was mainly cautionary at that point for most, but a few people did have issues and some of them pretty dangerous. So skip forward a week later from then, it's now the first week of February, and Bambu Lab posts a follow-up article stating that people needed to stop using the printers immediately. So after investigating and finding that cases were worse than they initially thought, they gave owners that were affected a couple of options to choose from. Either A, return the hardware for a full refund plus receive an $80 voucher, or B, wait until they ship replacement parts plus receive a $120 voucher. So I chose option B and held on to my A1, optimistic that the issue would be resolved since I had fallen in love with this 3D printer and wanted to hold on to it. After a couple of months, I finally received the replacement Heatbed, and I could finally repair my printer and hopefully get back to making cool 3D prints again. Let's first take a look at the repair package to see what's included. Inside, we find an entirely new Heatbed, 4 screws, and 4 silicone covers. Looking at the new Heatbed, we can see that the attached cable is significantly more durable and made from the same material as the cable on the front right of the machine connecting the camera to the base. You'll just be needing a 2mm Allen wrench for this repair. We can start by turning off the printer and removing the power cable and the AMS light cable if you have one of those installed as well. Let's start by manually raising the printer's X-axis and toolhead all the way to the top, then push the Heatbed all the way back. Remove the flex plate, then use your Allen wrench to pop out the 4 silicone pads covering the screws that secure the Heatbed to the base. Once we remove these 4 screws, we can lift the Heatbed off the base, then carefully pull it through the back and set it down to the side. We can then move on to working underneath the machine. So we want to use a box to prop the machine onto its back left corner so we could get access to the underside. Make sure you handle the A1 with care here because the purge wiper and print head are vulnerable. Start on the bottom by removing the 3 color marked cables for the camera, Z motor, and Y motor. Then loosen the screw that's securing the cable box in place and pull the unit out to undo the USB-C connection. There's still a set of cables running from the cable box into the machine, so be careful not to pull it too aggressively. You don't want to damage any of these wires by mistake. Next, remove the 2 bottom panels to access the internal wiring and connections by removing the screws securing them in place. The small panel towards the back is secured by 6 screws and the larger one in the front is secured by 10 screws, all of them the same screw type. Replacements for these screws aren't included, so be sure to set them aside safely. We'll be needing them later to complete the repair. Once the screws are removed, it should be pretty easy to pull the small panel cover off. There's a few clips holding the panel covers in place, but the screws are mainly what's securing it. The large panel has a few screws along the top, middle, and bottom. Remember to be careful handling the printer here because you don't want it to topple over and get damaged. I struggled removing my large panel a little because there was a bit of glue along one of the edges holding it really securely. Once we get both of the bottom panel covers off and set them aside, we now have access to inside the machine to perform our heat bed replacement. The first task is to unplug the cables connecting the old heat bed so that we can remove it entirely. So in the area next to the PSU, remove the two AC cables by squeezing the clips and pulling them out. Then unplug the sensor cable located directly above those. The sensor will also be secured in place either by silicone glue or tape, so carefully pull it free to separate it from the base. The last cable connecting the old heat bed is the ground cable, and this is the one located lower towards the bottom. Be sure to set the screw aside as well, as you'll be needing that later. Work the cable out carefully by pulling from where the plug meets the base of the printer. Pulling all of the cables that we just disconnected through and out of the machine, the old A1 heat bed is now fully disconnected and can be set aside so that we can start the installation of the new heat bed. If you're enjoying this video, please take a moment to like and subscribe to this channel. It'll really help. We now want to stand the machine carefully back upright while being cautious that we don't sit the machine on top of the USB cable box, which could damage it. Position the new heat bed on top of the base, ensuring that the brackets align correctly. Using the new included screws and silicone pads, secure the heat bed into place. Tilt the printer back onto its side to regain access to the bottom, then feed the new heat bed's cable through the same hole that we used to remove the old one. It's very important at this stage to ensure that the heat bed cable is not twisted or kinked, which could cause stress and damage when operating. We now need to thread the set of wires back through the same path where we removed the old ones. This part was a bit challenging since I don't have the smallest hands, but I eventually figured out that bunching them together with tape and pulling them through as one was much easier. Allow for a good amount of slack once the cables are routed through. So now we can begin reconnecting the wires. The order of the AC wires don't matter when connecting them to the headers, but the sensor needs to be plugged in correctly, so make sure that it's properly orientated. The sensor wire also needs to be routed back around the standoff like it was before we removed the old one. This is an important step to avoid future issues, so be sure to route the wires around the standoff, then secure it in place with the included tape. Bambu Lab support will want photos of this particular step in order to close the support ticket as well. Next, we'll reconnect the ground cable using the screw that we set aside earlier, making sure that it's screwed in flush and that there's full contact between the end of the wire and the printer frame. Bambu Lab will also want a photo of this to make sure that it's properly installed. To complete the new heat bed replacement, we just need to secure the new cable in place where it meets the printer base using the smaller panel cover. This new plug doesn't hold securely in place on its own and naturally wants to force itself back out, so we need to position and hold it in place while aligning the hook of the smaller bottom panel when closing it back up. This part was a bit tricky as well, but once the cover went back on, the heat bed plug was now securely locked into place. Now we'll put the large panel cover back on as well, then reinsert the screws that we removed to secure both panels in place. Be cautious here not to overturn the screws or use too much force, as you could damage them. Lastly, we'll reinsert the USB cable, screw the cable box back into place, then plug our camera, X motor, and Z motor back in. Finish off by tucking the cable box wires leading into the machine back into the cutout path. We want to make sure that the machine doesn't sit on top of these wires, which could cause damage. So that covers how to replace the Bambu Lab A1 heat bed. Before reconnecting the power cable and turning it on, inspect the heat bed cable and make sure that it's flowing naturally without any twists or bends. Otherwise, we'll have to reopen the machine and adjust the cable. The last hardware installation to do now is to mount the included bumper to the left side of the heat bed plug. The bumper serves as an extra layer of protection in case the printer is ever tilted back on its base. Stress won't be applied to the cable. Bambu Lab will also ask for a photo of this to close the support ticket. So that's the sensor wires routed around the standoffs and taped to the base, the ground cable, and this bumper. 3 photos. So we're done with installing the hardware, so we can now plug our printer back in and turn it on. We'll need to access the control page so that we can confirm that the new heat bed is functioning properly. We'll do this by setting the temperature to 40 degrees Celsius, then monitoring the screen to make sure that the printer is properly sensing and maintaining the right temperature. I left my printer for about 10 or maybe 15 minutes and it maintained the same temperature the entire time, so we've confirmed that the installation is a success. I'd also manually level the heat bed as Bambu Lab recommends, as well as run the calibration function from within the maintenance tab on the screen as the last step. For the heat bed leveling or tramming, just download the G code from the Bambu Lab wiki link, which I posted in the video description by the way, then install it on the printer's SD card. Remove the hot end sock and make sure that the nozzle is clean, as well as the flex plate to get access to the leveling screws. Loosen the screws located at the right side underneath the heat bed, but don't unscrew them fully. Just a few turns are needed. Now give the 3 heat bed leveling screws one full turn clockwise to lower the print bed slightly. Press print on the bed tramming file that you've installed from the screen, and the nozzle will move to a few different areas on the print bed so that leveling can be adjusted. Adjust the bed leveling screws appropriately so that the nozzle has just the right amount of clearance, then retighten the screws located at the right side underneath the heat bed. That now concludes the full A1 heat bed replacement, which took about 30 minutes for me to complete. Bambu Lab also has a step-by-step video, which I've linked in the video description as well. Once finished, I printed a bunch of different objects to make sure that the print quality was still up to par, and all of them turned out great. So I'm happy to say that my A1 3D printer is now back online, and I actually think it's been improved from the original because there's more durable features that have been added. If you ask me, I think this printer has reclaimed its spot as the best value mid-sized FDM 3D printer on the market, and these Bambu Lab 3D printers remain unmatched when it comes to ease of use and simplicity. I was also able to grab myself a few items from their store using the $120 voucher, so I get to try out some new products for free. In my opinion, Bambu Lab has also further solidified themselves as a reputable company by handling this issue so well, and they easily stand to cut above many 3D print companies. So I hope that this video was helpful. Let me know in the comments what you think about the Bambu Lab A1 3D printer after this whole heatbed ordeal. If you enjoyed this content, please check out my other 3D printing videos, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you can be informed when new videos are released. Links can be found in the video description for any of the resources that I mentioned, as well as 3D prints and products featured. Any affiliate links used helps to support this channel at no extra cost to you, of course. Thanks for watching, and until next time, see you then.